So it's a beautiful 80-degree day here in Southern California in January. I have my Andy Reid Aloha shirt supporting the Kansas City Chiefs for Super Bowl weekend. But it hasn't been a really good week for people in Los Angeles or around basketball or the entire world after the tragic death of Kobie Bryant, his daughter Gigi, and the other 7 passengers in the helicopter crash. And it's been 4 or 5 days of trying to get over it and trying to figure out how to deal with things and why we feel the way that we do. And I had a good conversation this morning with my friend James Escarcega, talking things over a little bit and some things I came up with. I think first we saw Kobie grow up. You know, we got him when he was 17, had him for 24 years. Isn't that ironic? Till he was 41. And way back then, in his second year in 1998, a good friend of mine convinced me to take the last puppy left in a litter that his great dog Kino had. Not a first-round draft choice by any means. Was the last one left of a litter of 6 or 7, and brought him home, and we were trying to come up with a name. And it was All-Star Weekend, and we're a sports-minded family, and my 3 older children kind of settled on Kobie. That was the first year that Kobie was a starter in the All-Star game. He wasn't even a starter on the Lakers at the time. So it seemed like a pretty good idea, but I've never really been a fan of posters on the wall or replica jerseys for kids, idolizing athletes, because athletes are fallible. And I didn't want to ever have the conversation of, you know, why you can't wear that the O.J. Simpson football jersey anymore or whatever. Anyway, we settled on Kobie, and she was great, but I spelled it a little bit different. It was Kobie. And then years went by, and number 8 became a superhero. You know, he was fantastic, and they won championships. And then 2003 happened in Eagle, Colorado. And he showed that he was fallible just like everybody else. And honestly, we talked about changing the dog's name. Wanted to try to come up with something that was similar, that wouldn't be too confusing. Our older kids would understand, and it would probably be a good conversation. And we had a 1-year-old at the time that wouldn't really notice. But ultimately, we, decided to keep the name, and I guess I just made her sleep outside for a little while. But Kobie was a loyal dog, always by my side. And then fast forward 15 years, and it's All-Star Weekend again. And in the middle of the night, my wife wakes me up and says Kobie's struggling a little bit. And she was laying in the middle of the floor, having trouble breathing, and I picked her up and I was going to carry her to her dog bed. And as I was sitting near her doggy bed, she looked at me and took one really big breath, and that was her last one. And it was terrible and beautiful all at the same time. So that was my life with our dog Kobie. And in that meantime, Kobie Bryant went through a transformation. He went from superhero to villain, and towards the end of his career, he became Zeus. And then when he retired, I think there's no one that has embraced doing what they do after they're done doing what they've done any better than Kobie has. Some people invest their money wisely, but those are just investments. Kobie went a completely different direction and tackled things head on. And I think part of my sadness was missing what he was going to do next and how great that was going to be. The other thing down the stretch that I thought was very impactful to me was his relationship with his family. You know, after Eagle, Colorado happened, you know, courts do what they do, and you know, he had to make whatever settlement he had to make, but that's not really the issue. When he made his announcement and had a press conference afterwards, you know, he kind of embraced it in a way that he was tackling it head on. He wasn't really hiding from anything. He was accountable and acknowledged that he made mistakes. And his family accepted that. And over the years, all you can do, my last image of him on the basketball court really was in the final moments of his final game when he scored 60 points. He looked over at his wife, Vanessa, and she lovingly blew him a kiss while she had her 3 daughters next to her. And he just looked over with a great wink and a smile. And you could tell that they were truly in love. And in spite of everything that had happened, who are we to judge if they're able to embrace it that way? So all of those lessons that we learned from Kobie, how he attacked the game and worked relentlessly with his 4 a.m. practices and working more than anybody else had to become great, to being fallible and addressing that head on and being able to acknowledge his mistakes and being able to talk openly about things, and then to becoming the mentor that he did later in life, and being a great family man. And I was looking forward to his work with his daughter as a coach, running their basketball program, because his perspective on youth sports was great. And I was hoping that that would trickle down to other youth sports coaches on how they should approach raising their kids through sports and coaching their teams. So it has been a tough time, but I think talking about it, tweeting about it, Twitter's my journal. You know, when I have a thought, I put it out there. Want to know what other people think, and I think that's a good thing. So talking about things, whether it's grief or any other mental health issue, is good, whether it's, you know, using positive social media or having, you know, real life conversations like we used to. All of those things are good, and I think that's how people are getting through their own individual grief in this Kobie Bryant tragedy. So again, ways to honor them. Work hard. Be good at what you do. Do that little bit extra. Take accountability. Face things head on. Try to achieve the gold standard in everything that you do. And figure out what you're going to do when you're done doing what you do. So that you can continue to be great. Coach Loke out.